All right, here we go. Hey, Johnny, doing pretty good. How about yourself? Hey, Troy, Chucky. There wasn't nothing going on I could see. I thought I'd crank up a live for a few minutes here before Hogleg comes on. Hey, Annette. James Bailey, how about it, buddy? I put that link up there if anybody wants to come up and shoot the breeze. I guess I did it right. I never have done it. Where's David Smith? Hey, David. I didn't see David. Oh, there he is. Hey, David. I don't know if I did that link right or not. Hey, Van. Jody. Boy, everybody was looking for a place to be, I guess. Yeah, man. I got a sister that lives on the reservoir. She got a pier and all there into the lake, into Ross Barnett. I mean, her yard goes off to the into the lake, and but they are higher than the emergency spillway. So the upper part of the reservoir is those people are not going to flood. It's the people below the dam where all that water is going down the Pearl River, going right through the middle of Jackson, and this has messed up their water supply. Hey, Jeremy, and yeah, they in pitiful shape. I got a son and family there, and I got a niece and her family there, but they all live right around the reservoir in Madison, what's called Madison, the town. They all gonna be fine. But I don't remember what year it was. It may have been 73. I can't remember, but boy, the whole Jackson flooded. I mean, they had car lots down there with brand new cars floating around. I mean, it devastated Jackson. And then it flooded all upstream on the Pearl River, way up above the reservoir. Yeah, I got a pile of family down there around in that area, but they're gonna be fine. I don't. The people in Jackson proper are the ones that are gonna suffer. If you've ever been to Jackson on Interstate 55, when you it's right past Fortification Avenue to exit to Fortification. It was a big car dealership on the left out there. I don't remember the name of it, but it was a monster car dealership. They had hundreds of cars and trucks on the lot. and they all floated off. They totaled millions of dollars worth of cars. I don't know why they didn't drive them away. I guess they moved some of them, but I know it was 300 or 400 of them that just was floating around out there. Well, y'all, we've been catching some flatheads. We caught four Friday night, and one or two, and then two or three, and we've been catching a few every day. They're small ones, but we can't go live. It's all on video. I've been putting up a few videos of it. Oh yeah, Pepper. It's I don't, look now. I don't know all about it down there, but I know when they built that reservoir, I don't think Jackson ever flooded before they built that reservoir that I ever remember. But this is about the third time since '73, I guess it was. I tell you something else, David, about it down there. Man, there's alligators everywhere. You know, they have an alligator hunt on Ross Barnett Reservoir, and they got so many up down there, and man, they are everywhere now, crossing the streets and up in the yards. They're everywhere. Hey, Doug. How you doing, man? Yeah, me and Lucky, we hadn't gone to bed yet, and Lance quit fishing, and Laurie quit fishing, and I said I'll get up here and see if anybody wants to hang out a while. Hey, Stephen. Jody, you still in here? I bought me a WeBoost Drive Sleek. Yeah, he's watching me. And he came today, and I hooked it all up, and the light won't come on. Your phone fits in a cradle just like a holder. It fits in there, and that's the antenna, the extended antenna, the actual cradle or the rod, the phone holder case you put it in. And it's supposed to have a light that comes on. Well, the light wouldn't come on. I had it on my battery that I was going to run it on. I made me a cigarette lighter deal there. Hey, Curtis. To plug it into it wouldn't work. And I went over to my truck and plugged it in my truck in there that I know works, because that's where I charge my phone. It still wouldn't work. So I got the book and I was reading on it, and it had a number. So I called that 1-800 number, and I ended up getting a technician. And I told him what was going on, and he said, I'm going to send, I bought it through Amazon, but I was talking to the company, the actual company that manufactures, Wilson, I think it is. And He told me exactly. He said that it's a problem they have with a bunch of them. That that phone holder, the wires get broken in there. I told him, I said, now this brand new. I just opened the box. He said, it don't matter. I said, well, I'm getting. He took my mailing address and everything, put me a new one in the mail. So I hope that's what's wrong with it. I was anxious to see if it was going to help my signal any, where I could go live instead of make. I don't like making a video. And that's a pain. But you kind of got a choice. You can sit on the bank and go live with a good cell signal and tell stories and not catch any fish, or you can go somewhere and catch fish and do video. Yeah. I tell you, Stephen Carthage, I know you probably been to Carthage before. They got a place up there in the edge of Carthage called, I think they call it Frog Hollow or Frog Bottom or Bullfrog Jump or something. It's something frog. And it floods every time. It floods all the time. All them people had to move out of there. Okay, David, you got an antenna that sits on a truck, a little old thing about that tall. There ain't nothing to it. It looks like a fin sticking up in the air like the only new vehicles. And it's got a long cord to it. And it plugs into a wire that's hardwired to the booster. Then you got a wire that comes from the cradle. The phone holder they call it a cradle, the way you put your phone. The phone is that cradle is the antenna. And there's a wire from it that plugs into the booster. And then there's a wire that hooks to the battery, and it's got a cigarette lighter end that you plug into your vehicle, and you plug all that up. It's real simple, but the antenna, the receiving transmitting antenna that the phone uses is actually that cradle. The gimmick won't work without the phone in the cradle. So if the cradle is, hey Valerie, if the cradle is not making contact, the wire is broken in the bottom of it there, or whatever he said, it can't work. And it's got a little light on the cradle that tells you it's on, and the light never would come on. And I fooled with it and put it in the truck and plugged it up. And I thought maybe I messed up wiring that little cigarette lighter thing I bought, but I didn't. It's real simple. And JBT has one out in Texas. Well, he's out there in that wide open flat country too now. And he's standing on the bank of them homemade lakes they got. Now, I'm down on the riverbank. But he's told me that he had, one signal, one bar and then two bars, and then he go to one bar and it goes spinning and all. He said that thing cured all that. He said he can broadcast from those places that he didn't have signal. Hey, Epic. How you doing, man? I guess this is Oh yeah. I read all that, man. I've been studying on this stuff for about 2, 3 weeks now, Dave. I got all that. It's a We Boost Drive Sleek. We Boost Drive Sleek. DRIVESLEEK. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's. I got it out there in the utility room. I could hold up. It's real. It don't weigh but a pound and a half. And if this thing, I got a 30-day return on it. And I'm really being real careful with it, not scratch it up anything. Yeah, yeah. It used to be Wilson, and now it's We Boost. But when you call that number, it says you reach Wilson Technology or something. But the guy was real pleasant, and I didn't have to mash one and then mash six and mash eight. I mean, it was real. It was a straightforward business deal when I called him today. And I guess y'all buy stuff from Amazon, but they people send stuff back, and heck, they just repackage it, put some new tape on it. That may have been the reason they shipped it back to start with. If that's the case, man, I don't know if it's brand new. It looked brand new, but it could have been already been used, and somebody didn't like it and sent it back. Who knows? Or it may have been broken when they got it. I don't know. But that fellow said that's a problem they have with that particular gadget. Is that cradle, that wire is breaks. He asked me how long I had it. I said about 30 minutes. He said, yeah, we're gonna send you a new a new cradle. Yeah, been thinking about you, Troy. Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna have to. Have you got a lawyer yet, David? Well, let me ask you. You said their van was it a Amazon van? I thought it was FedEx. Yeah, you got a lawyer. Well, you need to get Richard Schwartz. He got signs all over Mississippi. One call, that's all. That's it's it's on about a foot and a half rise right now. Epic. It's down. All the rock dikes out. The towboats are not having any trouble. They are dredging in a few spots around. You know how that high water moves that sand out in the channel, and this is grain moving season. the elevator's in full swing, and the soybeans now, it's soybeans already growing on the sandbars from spillage, So, about the only thing we can catch down here, unless you fish around them elevators, is flathead. And you may know more about it than I do. I don't know. But I know that when the grain season starts around here, and that river gets full of corn and soybeans, where they spill it, we just can't hardly find a blue. And that's even from a boat. And it used to be back in the 60s and 70s mostly, 80s. And see, they started these new varieties, early varieties, in 1984, I think. 85 is when they started planting soybeans. Before they planted cotton around here. And the soybeans would come off in the end of August through harvesting by the end of September if it didn't rain. And you just couldn't. The fish, you just can't get the blues to bite. And if you caught one, it was full of grain. I mean, plumb full. I don't know why I even would bite. Yeah. All the side channels are. They can't get in them. If they ain't out of them, they ain't coming out. Yeah, they all in the main river, but if you boat fishing, there's plenty of places to catch them. Flatheads in the boat. But we caught 4 flatheads Friday, and 2 the night before that, and then 2 or 3 one night. Or maybe 4, I can't remember. But we've been catching a few flatheads. They're just small, but we're catching them. I mean, heck, a flathead's a flathead. Well, they do down here. Yeah, they do down here. A lot of these guys down this way that's on some of these catfish trails, they bump up and down below those elevators. They bounce, bump, whatever they call it, and they catch some monsters. Hey, Dominic. Yeah, they wear them out down here around these grain elevators. And it's hard to find a stretch of river that don't have corn and soybeans floating down along the edge. It's hard to find a stretch because there's elevators everywhere. Oh, Lord, within 20 miles of Greenville. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 within 10 miles of Greenville, and 5 within 10 miles of Greenville, and 6 within 20. So we got plenty of elevators that's dumping that grain. I tell you what, they're down in Natchez. They done caught 2 over 100 this past month, I guess. Yeah, I've caught. Vicksburg there's a lot of good fishing down in Vicksburg. I've caught some good fish down there and at Port Gibson. I've done a world of fishing at both places, Vicksburg and Port Gibson. A bunch of it. I know that river down there pretty good. But I don't know, I just believe that grain. Hey, Tim, I just believe that grain. I don't know unless the water gets colder up there and that grain doesn't ferment like it does down here. I really don't know. And I don't know how. Well, heck, you up there in Illinois, that's a desert, corn desert, so it ought to be plenty of it in the river. I don't know, but I noticed Friday when we went out, the water's down and we able to sit out on a. Hey man, hey done on a real nice high solid sandbar, and the water is straight down. I don't know, the water must be 50 feet deep out there. So you throw out and your line is straight in. It's deep. And out in the current seams. It's a good place to fish. But anyway, I was the first one down there, and I made my trek down the bank, down through the rocks, and got down there, and I set my chair. I sat down, I opened my chair, and I sat down to start with to take a break and let these old legs recuperate a little bit. And I happened to look down there at the water, and there was soybeans growing already in the sand. And I said, Lord have mercy. And so they some of them are washed up on the sand. You know, it's plenty of them washing down the river. What's that, Hector? That's the first clue. Let me see here. This typing is oh yeah, looking at Epic. Hey, Danny Stone, had that link. No, I was right. We got them all across the country too, but they loading these barges they loading these barges, right on the main river. I mean, and the water. I bet you can catch some carp around on the granaries up in the lake. Yeah. No, I really believe that the blues are eating that corn and soybeans. I really believe it. I mean, heck, I've caught them and they puke soybeans and corn up in the bottom of the boat. So, I mean, I know they eat it. Well, sometimes they'll puke up crawfish and shells and things. This time of year, it's soybeans and corn. But it doesn't. But the flatheads don't. They don't fool with that mess. There's guys here that fish around. We got two elevators up in the lake, which all that stuff eventually makes it to the river, but it's really stinks around them elevators where it drains in the water. And there's a world of people they care. Late in the evening, they go up there and you drop your line down. I've done it once or twice. You drop your line down to the bottom, and then you know how far it is from your reel to the first eye. All right, so you reel it up that far one time. All right, you sit there. No bites. Do it again. Reel it up. And you keep bringing that bait up until you find where those fish are. And then everybody in the boat fishes at that same depth. And I'm going to be honest with you now. The night I did it with two guys, we caught 50 fish so fast that it made my head swim. I had a 6-pack of bow eyes and didn't drink but 2 beers. And we had 50 channel cats in the boat. 50. 3 of us. That's how fast they bite. And there'll be 3 or 4 or 5 groups there sitting around in their boats doing the same thing. Yeah, I put one up there, but is it not working? Let me do it again. Try that, Epic. I don't know. I know how to do it. Yeah, the device is not connected. What now? What does that mean? It says they will need to connect their mic cam before you can add them to the stream. I don't know what that means, Epic. It said you got to add your mic or something. That link may not be any good. I never have done it on this computer. I know how to do it on a telephone. Is that what it was? His camera was off? Let's see, that looked like the exact same link. Yeah, your name popped up, but it said something about you had your mic and camera off or something. I don't know. But yeah, we're gonna try that cell, that signal booster. See if we can go live fishing when I get the new cradle in. We had a good time Friday night though. CP came down from Memphis and we fished till 5 o'clock Saturday morning. But we caught all the fish before midnight. They didn't do anything. The guard moved in about 2:30, I guess it was. Man, they were just everywhere. Steady bite, getting a bait. All right, let's try this. I see a dark spot. I see you back in there, Effie.
There I am.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, bud. What you got? Some questions?
I do. As far as
Uh,
these granaries, how far? I mean, are you like within sight of the main channel?
on these granaries,
Yeah.
they on the main channel.
Oh, see,
They on the riverbank.
yeah, we don't really have any up in this neck of the woods that are
Good.
like within the main channel. Usually, it's a side channel, or
No.
it's like so far removed that you don't find anything over 20 foot deep for hundreds and hundreds of yards. There's all kinds of fish there. I mean, you'll catch 25 to 30 pound blues. And
Yeah.
you, like you were saying, you might catch 100 fish in an hour
Yeah,
or
man,
50 fish in an hour because it's just because, you've got the whole biomass there. You've got white bass, you've got shad, you've got crappie, but it's mostly what I would classify as carp and gar water where we're at. But that
buffalo.
sounds interesting. If you have granaries that are active on the main channel, you're darn right. I'd probably take a look at those for monster blues because I mean,
Yeah.
if you've
Oh,
got
they
full
there. They
biomass
no
there,
doubt.
they're going to swing in there. I mean,
Yeah.
almost no matter what the water conditions is, they're going to get used to is that as a feeding spot. And it surprises me that because granaries have grain legs, they've got drops, they've got you know a lot of areas that are dredged. And not
Yeah.
only that, the barges come through there and they sit there and it creates overhead cover. So it surprises me you don't find giant flatheads there too.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
They probably are because there's plenty for them to eat. All that, like you said, all the everything in the water is there feeding on that grain.
Well, if it's consistent, it's going to hold big fish. That's the thing. If it's not, just say granary, maybe they spill a little bit on Tuesday, and then
Yeah.
they don't
Uh,
spill another anymore till like next month.
yeah.
Well, that is inconsistent at best. So you say, is that going to be a big fish spot? Not necessarily. It's going to be a big fish spot when they have their proclivity to just kind of cruise into there. But if it's constant, if it's got a biomass going all the time and
Yep.
decent current, oh boy. If it's anywhere near the main channel, I'd focus on it.
Well, out of those six that I named, that's been within 20 miles of Greenville, just two of them up in the lake. The other four are on the riverbank proper. I
Oh
mean,
boy.
the trailer trucks. That mean the granary is sitting there with the spout, that long spout running out that loads the barges, and down here, and I'm sure it's the same way in all the grain country. When they kick those combines off, the very first day, the second day this year that they cut corn, that was last week. Well, week before last, because it rained all last week and shut them all down. But the farmers' grain over there on the lake, the truck line, the second day they cut harvested corn this year, the truck line was 2 miles long.
Wow.
The second day.
See, I'm gonna blow your mind, Steve. We have millions and millions of acres of corn and beans, and there's
Yeah.
nobody up here that has cut corn yet.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know it. Yeah, I know it.
And it,
Yeah.
it won't happen. It won't happen till damn near Halloween.
Yeah, well, we'll be our boys. Our guys will be through. Let's see. This is, they'll be through before the end of September. It'll
Yeah.
all be out. Grain, all the grain will be out. They'll be picking cotton.
Yeah. Ours won't be out until November.
Yeah, Stephen, I wasn't counting. I wasn't even counting the Milesville granary. And they all of them, they all on the main channel.
Nice.
But the problem is you got to fish below them, and you can't fish at them if you're fishing from the bank.
Yeah.
Because they won't let you out there, and you can't. There's nowhere to fish below them.
Yeah, I'd sneak in there with the boat.
Oh well, from the boat you can go up there and fish. It don't matter then. But they don't want you on the bank.
Yeah.
Liability. You know how all that goes.
They'll honk at you if you're in a boat.
Yeah.
They want you to get out of there, or they'll just put their spotlight on you real hard.
Yeah. But yeah, there's plenty, and I just think it shuts the blue bite down because the river is so full of corn. You just think
It could.
if they lose 100 bushels,
Yeah.
or it falls off the side of the barges, or the elevator up there springs a leak and it blows all that. It takes them a minute to get that thing shut down. Well, all that grain goes in the river.
Yeah.
And I've seen all that happen, and they'll overload those barges, and they move it. They move that spout. As they go, they have to move that barge under the spout, and anytime they move that barge, they're gonna waste grain, and it's a mess. And it just I'm just sure that the blues, all of them down that river, are laying there eating corn and soybean.
Well, and Steve, when I was a guide for years, I would have people say, "Hey, are we going to the granary?" I'd say, "Yeah, we can go to the granary if you'd like,
Yeah,
but it's going to be small fish."
right.
And it wasn't because that a granary is a bad thing. It's the fact that our granaries were out of the current. They were in the slow water. Okay, so you catch 3 to 6, 7, 8 pound channel cats all day long till your arms fell off. But you're not catching 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18 pound channel cats and 30 pound flatheads back there.
Mm-hmm.
You'll catch a lot of, eaten sized ones, Dinkersville and, whatever. And you got, drum to deal with and carp out the yin yang and gar.
We catch a lot of buffalo with ours.
Yeah, buffalo are huge on granaries.
Yeah,
Big buffalo.
I got a story about the buffalo. Here about it's been about 10 years now. I got a buddy. His name is Steve Hunter, and he works for APAC. Do y'all have APAC up there, the road builders?
No.
They're a subsidiary of some oil company, and I can't remember which one it is. But anyway, they big contractors that build a lot of highways and stuff, and they're all over Mississippi.
Good.
Every year they have a big party for all the employees statewide. That's several hundred, several. It may be 1,000. Well, and they always have it on the water. Well, they got a big to do here in Greenville where they offload gravel and stuff in the port here at Greenville. Well, they had the big party here in Greenville, and they had a $500 prize for the biggest fish caught in the fishing tournament.
Okay.
For the employees. So Steve didn't even fish, and it was one of the guys, and they borrowed a little old 14-foot John boat, no motor on it, and they were just going to troll. They were going to paddle over there to the grain elevator there in the lake and fish. Well, the tournament started at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. and it went 6 o'clock the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so Steve and his partner, they had a gallon. The company give them a gallon of whiskey, half a gallon of whiskey, and ice and drinks and everything. So they just sculled that boat over there about 200 yards to the grain a little later. And they done gone to Walmart and bought them 2 little zip codes, little fish boat, and a package of hooks and a few weights, stuff that they knew that they needed it. So Steve was in the back of the boat and his partner's in the front of the boat. And at 7 o'clock that evening, some bit that boy's pole up there in front of that boat. And now it's a mile. It's over a mile from that granary to the waterfront to the boat ramp. Well, they went by during the night. They went by the waterfront twice.
Oh boy!
Yeah, and they drank all the whiskey. All they done was holding on, and that fish pulled them around that lake, and all until somebody saw them that was in with them. One of the company folks,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. They were tore up, from drinking, and they had plenty of food and everything, and they was holding on. And the fella come over there and stopped and said, "What y'all doing?" I said, "Man, we got something on there. It must be a turtle or something." Said, "We've been fighting this thing since 7 o'clock last night." Said, "What?" He said, "Man, we ain't even got a net and we can't reel him up." And so the fella was sitting there holding on to that boat and kind of the fish pulling both boats. Of course, it's in the lake too now.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, don't pull much. Pull a little bit and reel a little bit, and pull a little bit and reel a little, And they finally got that fish to the top. And it was a 53-pound buffalo.
Oh.
53
Yeah.
pounds on a Zebco off the rack.
Yep.
Rod reel.
Zebco 33.
Needless to say, they split that 500.
Oh yeah.
They won the money on a 53-pound buffalo. I've heard that boy tell that story so much.
That's a big buffalo.
Oh God!
And you know what? I've seen them, Steve. I've seen some really, really big buffalo, but I've never caught a really big buffalo. Most of the time, that they eat crustaceans and plankton mostly.
Yeah.
But I mean, a night crawler at times, just like you can catch a grass carp on a night crawler in the spring and in the fall.
Well, they had Catfish Charlie. They had Catfish Charlie. Man, Lord have mercy. People go out there trying to catch them and can't catch them, and all they want to do was eat and drink. They ended up fighting a fish all night. Yeah, boy. Hey, Lance. I watched you fish all night, Lance.
That's a good story, Steve.
Yeah, man. I wish I'd been there to see it. I didn't ever come in there and talk, Lance, but I watched you fish a couple, 2 or 3 hours out of your deal there. I want to see you catch one of them salmon or whatever y'all call them things. Yeah.
Well, all right, Steve, I'm going to get off here. That was my question. I didn't know if I was barking up the wrong tree. Maybe, maybe that big blues was going way off the main channel to feed at these.
Oh, they're right on the channel. Look, before you leave, Bungie, do y'all have Bungie Corporation up there?
Nope.
The elevators, Bungie, Bunge.
Nope.
I think Bungie is a Japanese company, I believe. But anyway, they just sold, I forgot how many 100 granaries to another Japanese company here in the last, last couple of months. And I can't remember the name of the new company. But they've got, they got hundreds of granaries on the Mississippi, the Arkansas, the White.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they got them on the Red River. But they are a big, they even bought here oh, 10 years ago, they started buying their own towboat because they was having to pay to have all that grain shipped to New Orleans.
Yeah.
And they've even bought their own towboats. They're running about 4 towboats now.
We have major ones up here, all the way from above Chicago till probably St. Louis or so. Cargill, Asgrow, all those, and they have multiple granaries and tons of barges. I mean, it's pretty unreal.
Okay, Tim, Melina, thank you for stopping in. Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess I could sit here and count all of them because I've been all the way to Memphis on the river fishing. Now I don't know how many it is. It's just an untold number. It's just
Yeah, oh yeah.
and they all right on the riverbank. I mean, you know, they're not. There's a couple, 2 or 3 up in the lakes and things, you know, harbors. But heck, there's 4. 1, 2, 3. There's 5. It's 10 miles and 10. It's 5 in a 20-mile strip of river right here.
Yeah, and we've got quite a few, but they're really, like, here's your main channel right here, and you might have a secondary channel that's only 15 foot deep.
Yeah,
the whole thing, and they're all on there.
They probably cut it just for the towboats to
Probably
for the
did.
granary.
Probably did. Yeah.
But even at that grain eventually makes it out that river. Makes it out.
It does, but and believe me, I have tried to fish the ones up here and tried to fish them for big fish, and most of them, like if you look at the live that says 100-pound fish, like my son caught a fish on 100, caught a 100-pounder on one of our last lives.
I saw it.
We were at a barge terminal, but it's not a granary.
Yeah.
Like, there's none of them that are down that are actual granaries. It's usually natural gas or, you know, some other stuff or, you know.
Well, y'all were fishing the cover.
Yeah. We were basically, but with blues, I don't really focus on cover very much. It's mostly depth and current, but current first. Well, depth first, current second, you know, but if that place that we were fishing where Sean caught his first fish, if it was only 20 foot deep there, even though we were anchored on 20, but we were throwing into 30, if that was on the other side of the river, it would have had a big fish 1 in it, just because it's only 20 foot and it's slow water. This was on the outside bend.
Right.
Actually focusing some current, and it had a little bit of a dip, and it had a basin hole, and then it kind of came up, and it was kind of good. Now, I've fished that spot for years, but I don't always fish it. It's got to have that right water depth for current for it to actually hold big fish. And actually, that last time that we fished it, I couldn't believe it was holding that many fish, because usually it takes a little bit more current for it to hold that many big fish.
That's the one where the pilings are off to the left.
Yes. And when I went in there, I marked a bunch of fish, but they were belly to the bottom. And I looked on shore, and there was a bunch of concrete tubes. I thought, well, maybe somebody spilled a bunch of concrete tubes in here, because I'd never seen that many in that. Usually it's 1 or 2. And I hadn't looked at it for 2 or 3 years because I just haven't had to.
Yeah.
But when we left to go get Moon Eye and scout out a couple spots, I went back over it, and most of them were gone. I was just beating myself up for not fishing it right then. Even though they were belly to the bottom, they probably wouldn't have bit, or they would have like just kind of sort of bit. You know what I'm saying? And then they get up and move. Because by the time we anchored up there was only 2 or 3 of them fishing there. Sean caught one. Connor had another one on the line, and they were moving up underneath the boat, big ones. And I was like, oh, man, I missed it. I kind of knew the bite was going to go to shit. But anyway, by the time we got done there off the live, I looked at it again, and every one of them fish was gone.
They're gone.
Gone.
A couple of them had the picture taken.
Yep, a couple of them had one had their picture taken, but the rest of them were gone. So I ain't going to make that mistake again, except for it's only going to happen 1 out of every 20 times I stop.
There you go.
Some spots are pretty consistent, as long as the water level is consistent, but that spot is not consistent at all. And I had forgotten that when you mark them, you got to fish them, because so many times during the day you fish them and they pull the rod down about 6 inches, and then they let it back up. I thought, okay, we'll come back here right before dark. Well, they'd already got up and started moving. Yeah, because I think we'd have caught 6 or 7 fish in the 70 to 80, 90 pound class.
Well, that'd have been a fun day.
Oh boy, and I've done it before, but it's kind of a rare thing. But
hey, Dead Pooh.
We kind of zigged when we should have zagged.
Yeah, there you go. You worried about the moon eye over there catching, throwing that net.
You darn right I was.
I saw you put when you had Jerry up there, you put him up there throwing that net.
Yep, I did. I did, because that was Jerry's net.
Oh, and it was.
My shoulder's actually repaired enough I can throw a net again. It was so bad I couldn't even throw my big net. I'd have to throw the little tiny net.
Yeah.
And the tiny net's only like 6 foot across, and it ain't worth the shit.
Well, I had a shoulder worked on back in the 60s. I can throw one about 5 times, and I don't make no difference what size it is.
Yeah.
And then I can't hardly pick my arm up to get a boat gas throttle.
Yeah. It's hell to get old, Steve.
Well, I've been like that since I was about 35, though.
Yeah, I'm 53, going to go on 54, and I used to throw a big ass net, but I never threw it right.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful way to throw it, but it's too hard on you. I used to throw it and throw it and throw it. So if you watch any of my other videos, when I just grab it at the top and take one and take another, I just swung it like a caveman for so many years that it ended up tearing up my shoulder.
Yeah, oh Lord.
The whole joint is destroyed. But it's not so bad I had to have surgery, because my buddies that were all athletes that had that surgery, they said, don't get it. If you can avoid it whatsoever, don't get it, because it's hell to get it repaired.
Well, when they tighten it up, you run. That's what you are.
Mm-hmm.
But I had mine done when I was 19 years old, but I had to, because I couldn't even tie my shoes anymore.
Yeah, it's bad. I was having trouble picking up a drink like this, 6 months ago.
Well, when I went up there to Memphis to that orthopedic guy, he says, he worked on my ankle when I was in high school. I was in college playing baseball. And he said, you're a shortstop or pitcher? And I said, well, I was a shortstop. He said, well, after this surgery, you won't be a shortstop.
You're a third baseman after that.
No, he said, I had to move to second base.
Second base. That's not so bad.
Yeah, turning that double play was tough, man. I hurt so bad all the way down to my ankles to take my breath. But I could throw it one time.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Boy, if that next guy got on base and there was another double play in order, I don't know how I managed to do it. I know how I did it. I was taking a box of aspirin every day. One of them little, they used to be in a pop-up can.
Mm-hmm.
This is before Tylenol, and this is before Advil. I take there's 12 of them aspirins in there. I take the whole sack, the whole box, before practice, an hour before practice, before the game. And if we had a doubleheader, I took a half a box between games. And I went through, the one I didn't bleed out.
So Steve, this winter I started literally throwing my anchor, throwing the net, throwing hatchets, doing all this stuff.
Getting ready.
Then I went to rehab, and I started lifting weights and doing all that, which you can't tell it because I'm an old dude. I don't respond to lifting weights like I used to. Shoot, I used to get all muscular and whatever, but now I'm just an old catfisherman. But it did help. It helped enough, but I can tell if I don't work with it, it starts getting bad again. And so I'm about ready to buy a new net that's a lot bigger and a lot heavier again, and just
let me tell you something.
throw it right.
Anybody told you about the bands?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do all those.
Those bands are pretty good for shoulders now.
Yeah, and they're the only thing that got me to the point which I could throw a 30-pound anchor and throw even casting the rods is hard on me. Like like the last live I had. I mean, I was casting stuff that was 2 and 3 pounds, and I was hucking it, and my shoulder was hurting, hurting for the next 2 or 3 days. I got another thing going on with my elbow. It's all swollen up on the end. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm about ready to just cancel it and just do a do-over.
Well, you can go up there to CVS or whatever they call it and get one of a brace for your elbow, and it'll help.
I know. I'm just
it's just my buddy that I fish with now. He's 40-some years old. And he wears one. I got him to finally go up there and buy one, and he don't ever take it off. I don't think it feels so good to him. He said,
"Well, I'm about ready to do something because this is bullshit. It's hell to get old, and I don't like it. It's dumb. I should be able to drink a Red Bull and freaking jump off the top deck of the freaking boat and throw the anchor 27 times and throw 100 freaking 3-pound baits. I ain't like that.
You need to put one of those capstans on your boat.
Those what?
Capstan.
What you got?
It's that thing in reels that'll bring that anchor in for you. Reel it up. It's electric.
Yeah, it's electric. Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about when I say Johnny Summers, Radish? Because
kind of. It's kind of like a windlass. Them sailboats got them windlass.
Yeah, he put one on his boat, and of course he don't go out anymore either. He's older than I am.
Yeah.
But he put one on his boat the last 2 or 3 years he fished, and it works great, man.
Well, I looked up the windlasses, and them things are about $1,000 for a one.
Well, now he got the one. I don't know. Johnny got plenty of money, but he I don't know. I didn't ask him what he paid for it, but I got a story about that.
All right.
Now I saw this. You know who the Cat in the Hat is?
The Cat in the Hat?
Yeah, Roush Racing.
Who?
Roush Racing.
No.
NASCAR.
No.
NASCAR. Anyway, I forget it. What Roush's first name is. So some of these guys will know. But he got a whole set of family here in Greenville, and they catfishermen.
Okay.
And a couple of them have died. The old man has died now. The Cat in the Hat's first cousin, he died, and then one of his sons died. But they had a buddy. Now, I didn't know this guy. I had seen him with him, but I didn't know him. Mm-hmm. But I was over there to put my boat in one day, and they was all down there at the water, and this guy had it was a river boat, flat bottom river boat. And he had made him an anchor winch and had it bolted and reinforced and all in that front of that boat. Mm-hmm. And it was running off of a Case tractor starter.
Holy moly.
And Bill Roush was steady telling him, said, boy, you ain't got no reduction gears on. And this is their friend. And they were going to go over and try this thing out in the lake and see if it'd pick his anchor up. And Bill told him, he said, now you didn't put reduction gear in that thing, man. You can't use that. And he said, "Oh yeah, I can be careful with it. I've got it. I know what I'm doing." And he had a toggle switch back there by his steering wheel. So he said he lifted it up with it. And he had this big old heavy anchor. I don't know. This thing must weigh 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So he cranked it out, put it off the trailer, backed it off the trailer, and pulled and moved it. I told him, just leave your truck here because I'm gonna sit here and watch this. Because I know enough about tractor starters to know when they turn, they'll turn the world over. They spin. I had one sling a pair of vice grips. I know that. I don't know. It must have been 200 feet. But anyway, he pulled that boat out there in the middle of that lake, and water about 17, 18 feet deep right there.
Mm-hmm.
He got up there and he dropped that anchor off in the water on that rope and let out about 50 feet of rope. And he said, "All right, I'm going to pick it up." Now, he was tall. We were standing on the bank right there, and he was just right out there 200 or 300 feet, you know. He said, "I want to pick it up now." And he wrapped that rope around that pulley, had him a pulley mounted on that starter, and he went back there and sat down on that. He went back there and sat down in that seat and reached over and hit that toggle switch. And the next thing you saw was the motor sticking up in the air. It put, and him swimming beside the motor. It pulled that boat down so quick. I mean, 1 minute you was watching him sitting there, the next minute that motor was sticking up in the air. That's how quick it pulled that boat down. He pulled it straight to the, and he said, "What am I going to do?" Bill said, "You better go down and cut that rope." And so that's what he had to do, because he was in a that boat 16 foot, I guess, and the water was 17 to 18 feet. And he had to get his pocket knife and swim down and cut that rope. Sure did. And then he was able to swim and pull because, you know, the boat came back up, but it was sunk, you know. He got away to the bank. But we couldn't even hardly help him. We was laughing so hard, man. He sunk that boat just so quick, that man, he pulled that thing down. And Bill said, "I told you so." Yeah. But it's one he didn't drown, his silly self.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you got to reduce that. You got to put some gears on that thing. You can't run it right straight off that starter. Man. But he I don't know if he ever perfected his rig or not, but he wasn't nowhere close to right with what he had. Just a good thing he tried it out before he went to the river.
Mm-hmm.
He'd have done it out there in the river, probably drowning.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where you gotta tone it down a little.
Yeah, you got to put some kind of big old pulley. I guess you put a big pulley on, no, a little pulley on it, and run the little pulley, run a big pulley to it,
Yeah.
you know,
So
pick it up.
So it slows you down.
So it won't turn so fast.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
So somebody was telling me earlier, somewhere on the south, they've got wing ice so far they go about halfway across the river. Is that true down there?
Oh yeah. We got some that they built with trucks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I call them Tonka toys, them old big tires.
Big
Hey,
Mike truck.
But now when they built those, and Stephen Carter, he gone back to work, I guess. But I saw him build one down below here in Myers. Oh, it's been years ago. But they started on the bank and on the Louisiana side, and they backed it Tonka toy up and dump it and leave, and another one to come and leave, and they had a bulldozer that was flattening the top of that dike out
Mm-hmm.
where those trucks, and every once in a while, those trucks would dump like 5 or 6 loads in one spot, and he'd make them a wide spot in that dike where they could pull in to back,
Yeah.
And that dike had to be a mile and a half long
Wow.
when they
We-
quit.
Our dikes around here are maybe like a long one might be 150 yards long.
Oh no, we got them. But
Yeah.
let me tell you, Tim, that dike is no longer visible. It was such a big dike; it caught so much sand that it's added 600-700 acres of land to the Louisiana bank.
Really?
Mm-hmm. There's trees out there now big enough to harvest.
Huh.
They got it's. I'm trying to remember the name. I believe it's Sayre Island. Sayre Island Hunting Club. I believe that's what it is. It might not. Maybe you can see it on the Google Earth map.
Steve, I'm telling you, if I didn't have to work, I'd be going everywhere on the Mississippi just to figure it out.
Well, y'all.
I mean that's almost alien to us up here.
Yeah.
Gigantic dikes that islands have come up behind them, and then just on the outside of that, that there's a deep, steep ledge that
Mhm.
is built up on the outside of that.
Well, they've done that in a lot of places down here
Mm-hmm.
where they build those dikes, and the land builds up in front of them to start with,
Wow.
and then once the willows get on it, it starts slowing everything down, and then it settles, and the dikes are completely under dirt.
Hmm.
You can't even see them anymore.
Yeah.
You just remember they were there, and it's added all that land back to the mainland that it used to be on before the river washed it all away.
We've got a few of those, and most of those are closing dikes. That's where they'll put a dike from the mainland to the point of an island, and then all of a sudden it'll start doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes quite a few years, but it'll
that
start
takes a
doing
long
that,
time.
that washboard sand surface. But see, our river up here is so narrow that it pipes down it pretty hard.
Yeah.
So we don't get our biggest thing is the Corps of Engineers decided they were going to put dikes in certain places so that the Mississippi River doesn't change course all the time.
Yeah.
We're not too worried about siltation where levees will get inundated by sand and silt and then grow new land. It's more about keeping it from cutting into people's farmlands or keeping it cutting into like river roads or towns or any of that shit.
Right. Hey, Stephen Carlin, that island across that you were going to go camping on at Myersville, do you remember back in 81 or 82 when they built that big dike out there with the trucks? Were you going over there then in, let's say, 80? It'd been probably about 82 or 83 when they built that dike. And they built it from Louisiana all the way to the river, main channel, and built that island, made that island twice or 3 times bigger than it used to be. But yeah, I was fishing down there a lot at that time, and not old enough. Well, I saw it. I don't know why they did it. I guess I don't know. I don't know why they did that, but they sure did.
Probably to divert more water down that main channel to keep it open.
Well, they did build a grain elevator right there too, but that could have been the reason they did it.
Yep.
I don't know. But they constantly. Oh, you was 8 years now. Well, you wouldn't have remembered it. You don't know about it.
Yep.
But yeah, they used to fish down there a lot. There's some good places down there to fish. There's just so many people that do it, and I'm gonna tell you, I hope I ain't stepping on nobody's toes. But them Louisiana folks, they don't know nothing about no game laws.
Yeah, I can see that.
You may see just about anything out there if you sit still and be quiet long enough.
Well, all right, Steve. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I got
it's time to go.
in the morning. Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I enjoyed talking with you, Tim.
I like stories too.
And I got you a thank you note yesterday.
Oh, yep.
Appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you, buddy.
All right. I'm fixing to go too.
Good night.
Night. All right, y'all. We fixing to abandon ship here and go to the hog leg, I suppose. Thank y'all for stopping in and just somewhere to hang out for a while. See y'all later.